Welcome to Pixel Chatter, the show where we talk tech with the people who make it happen. I'm your host, Justin Lachovsky. This episode explores what happens when your life partner is also your work partner, and both of you live and breathe digital signage. With us today is Jason and Nikki Ault from Coffman Media. Coffman Media is a leading solutions provider in digital signage and a proud advisory council member for the Digital Signage Federation. This one's part love story, part insightful leadership, and a whole lot of screen talk. Jason, Nikki, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. Why don't you tell the folks, who you are and what brings you to the show?
Yeah, thanks for having us, Justin. My name is Jason Ault, CEO and co-founder of Coffman Media. And we're here to just chat digital signage and how in the world do we get through the day-to-day without killing each other.
Yep, and I am Nikki Ault. I am the VP of Client Services here at Coffman Media, and my husband is my boss.
That's so great. I love to hear it. Both of you. Awesome intros. I think this is going to be a lot of fun today. Let's kick things off a little bit easy. Jason, Nikki, it'd be great to just hear a little bit about your backgrounds and how you got into digital signage.
So I'll go first. My background goes all the way back to 2007. I worked with a traditional signage company, and we had an RFP that we were doing a mall redevelopment on, and that constituted a bit of digital signage. Back then it was only on premise, so there really wasn't the cloud evolution taking place yet. My background's in computer information, so I said yes, we'll figure it out. So we got the deal and we set up our first instance of digital signage that predates Coffman Media. But the 2008-2009 crash happened. I really wanted to get into the software side of things and the recurring revenue side of things rather than just fighting for the next deal. And so in 2010, February 1st, we launched Coffman Media with what we have today as a scalable SaaS-based recurring revenue business, and the digital signage at that point solely focused. We have a security division now, but still pretty much focused in the digital signage world.
Love to hear it. Nikki, tell us about your background a little bit and how you got into digital signage yourself.
My background is definitely not digital signage or technology in general. I actually graduated from college with a bachelor's in education, and then it was for pre-K to third. It actually took a position with the state of Ohio at the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles, so the DMV or BMV is better known. And I worked there for 7 years because it paid more than starting teacher salary. So I ended up staying for a while. We had our second child in 2013. And I know, she's 12. That's what threw me off. We had our second child in 2013, and I ended up staying home to raise both kids as they were in their younger years until they started school, and then started dabbling with Jason. And he would be like, hey, can you call people and make them pay us? Like our accounts past due kind of stuff. So yeah, where I can help out, I'll help out. I was at home anyway with the kids. So then in 2022, we moved from Ohio to Florida, and I was working a photography business at that time, and I didn't want to create a whole new clientele when we moved. So I said, do you need me more? Where can I help? And I said, client success or customer service is my background, and I'm good at it because that's what I did with the Ohio BMV. So he said, yeah, we could actually absolutely use a client success person because we need retention. So I jumped off, full dive in, and started attending all the events with Jason and to get to know the business. And here I am.
That's a really great story. Certainly an awesome dynamic duo. I think a lot of other people would be like, I don't think I could ever work with my wife. It's really encouraging to see that the two of you working so amicably together. So you touched on it a little bit, Nikki, and when you started working together, maybe you guys can just elaborate on that a little bit and talk about how maybe things have changed a bit.
Since I started toe in the water, it's obviously changed a ton because now I'm full-time. I travel with him. We go to all the shows, go to all the events. I'm now on the Wave It board, so the Women in AV and IT. I'm a board member there. Things have changed drastically just because he needed the help and I was ready to take it on.
And Jason, do you feel the same way?
Is it helpful? Yeah, it is helpful for sure. And as everyone notes, and I think they're joking about it, but there's truth behind the joke, is she is my secret weapon. So that became evident at her first DSF event. She just went off and started talking, and she wasn't just next to my coattails trying to figure everything out. So she's not afraid to just jump in and get things done. And for us, I think... No.
Let's be honest. I didn't just jump in. You told me I was not allowed to follow you around like a lost puppy dog. And I had to have my own conversations. So
I mean,
I did.
it's however we remember it. I don't know.
You know, that's really great, because my next question was a funny or surprising story when you first started working together, but it sounds like we covered that. Maybe let's talk a little bit about how you both divide roles and stay in your own lane, because I can imagine, Nikki, it's challenging having your boss also be your husband. Maybe you can talk a bit about what keeps you both sane during the day-to-day and how you divvy things up.
I mean, Jason, I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, so I tend to want to have my hand in every cookie jar. So for me, it's tougher to pull back, whether it's Nikki and her team or with operations or our support team or marketing or whatever. So for me, it's a learning curve to really just give people that autonomy to go and do, and then just oversee things from steering the ship forward and just allowing them to carve out their own path. So I'm sure Nikki can attest to that.
No, he's actually really good about staying in his lane as CEO, COO, because he's in a transition period at the moment from COO to CEO. But with that, I know my role and what I'm supposed to do. So it's really easy, other than asking the occasional question on what do you think we should do, or what do you think? I try not to pull him in too much, just because being in the role that he's in, he does have his hands in everything. What keeps us sane is more of our personal path. Like on Sundays, I meal prep to make sure that everything is completely ready to go for the week. That way, kids are taken care of, husband's taken care of, I'm taken care of. I think there's something to be said about routine at home that kind of goes into our work routine as well. And then I also think it helps. We don't typically work side by side every day. There are days that we do, but I work from home just because I'm in charge of picking up the kids and things like that from school and drop-offs and activities and all that. But he has an office that he goes to. So we're not literally side by side annoying the heck out of each other all day long.
That's good. It's important to maintain your sanity, right?
That's right.
Having those habits and rituals to maintain both the work and personal relationships.
Yeah.
So does the rest of the team treat you both as the boss couple?
They jokingly refer to us as that, I would say sometimes, but it's endearing. I don't think it's that they see us as like this power couple that's there to take over. I try to maintain my role as an employee because I'm not an owner. So if I can, again, stay in my lane and things like that, I think that helps.
And then we throw complexity into it. And then my dad is also a co-owner. So it's, that the team will go with, it is a fine line of family dynamic versus boss-employee relationship. So there are times where we have to have conversations, but to Nikki's point, at the end of the day, everyone takes it pretty easily. I think we're pretty lucky, actually, with the team that we have.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Family businesses obviously add a layer of complexity to it, but it sounds like you're all navigating it fairly well, so that's great. Maybe you can tell me a little bit, like, what's like the one most misunderstood thing about working with your spouse?
That's a great question. I would say, from my perspective, that those that say I could never do it, it's really not that hard. If you get along outside of work, you can get along inside of work too. And I look at it as it gives us ability to build stronger outside of work as well. So we take things that we learn and the complexities and the challenges and transpose that into our home life, and then vice versa. So to me, it's again, that secret weapon that everyone jokes about. I see it as a positive for both sides.
Yeah, I'm along the same way. Like it's misunderstood that you can't have a balance or know where to flip that switch between wife and employee or boss and husband. And I think as long as we know our roles and exactly what's expected of each of us, both personally and at the office, then I would say that's a misconception, because it's not that hard. As long as you have your priorities and where everybody's supposed to be, it's where they're supposed to be.
I'd love to hear it. And I guess for any of the listeners out there who are considering working with their spouse or are working with their spouse, it can work. Obviously, Jason and Nikki here are a testament to that. Let's change gears a little bit. Let's get more into the signage side of things. So, Nikki, this one's for you. What do clients really want? And what's sort of a thing that they often miss?
I think they really just want to be heard. Jason often talks about this why behind the why and finding it. And I think you really have to, I think clients want to be handheld. They want their hands held throughout the process so that they know that what they're paying for and what their focus and goals are heard, so that we can actually deliver an ROI for them. I think they
Right on.
miss content a lot. I think, which is the why. What kind of experience do you want your clients to have? They often get the shiny object syndrome when they come to us for a project. They have this in mind and they don't even really know their budget. So it's like going, Jason does this reference often. It's like going to buy a house and then saying, I don't have a budget. Okay, we can give you top of the line, or we can give you. So I think it's just they miss a lot of, they know they want something, but they really don't know why they want it.
I totally hear you on the content side. That's something that we get into very often. Customers come to us all the time asking, what does content cost? And we often use the metaphor. It's a lot like building a house. Each component has a cost associated with it. And the more complex materials that you use, obviously that will impact the budget and stuff. So it's nice to hear that even in your space, content still seems to be the afterthought, even though I know we all keep pushing that content is king. Yeah. So it's great to hear that we're still keeping that top of mind. And Jason, this one's for you. As obviously as an executive leader, you're covering multiple, I guess, disciplines or all sorts of aspects of the company. How does what you do support great client outcomes?
Yeah, I think from that standpoint, it's really understanding the feedback from our clients. So Nikki and her team understanding and listening where they want to go, because it's my job to then figure out, do we have the right solutions and partners on board to facilitate their desires and wants? And then also to train the organization to be able to support maybe the questions or the uncertainties that those customers are going to have. Because I always say the cheapest is never the most affordable. How do I orchestrate the team to be able to be equipped to handle those types of objections, to be able to bring in the right partners that may be value engineered capable, but not lack on quality, so we can still achieve that why behind the why. And then so always be in front of the marketplace and meeting with my constituents within the industry at large.
That's great. Yeah. Obviously what you do needs to translate to the rest of the team and support the clients as they move forward with all their initiatives. Really great to hear. Now, this is a little bit more of a challenging one. Where do things tend to break down in these complex projects, and how are you both trying to get ahead of those things?
I think there's a couple of different breakpoints within the project. One starts from the very beginning. If we have not orchestrated, and I hate to beat the dead horse, but the why behind the why, and then we already started them off on a wrong solution set, the wheels fall off the track very quickly. And then secondly, in some of these more complex projects, is really ensuring that all key stakeholders understand the scope. And if we do veer outside of that scope, get in front of the right parties for that scope creep or change order, and then realign so we don't get 5 degrees off for a whole month and then we're completely off course at the end, and everyone's expectations, ours and the clients, are nowhere near where they should be at the congruent level. Those are the two things that I think are very important, is starting off with the right solution because we've already checked the box for the why, and then ensuring that we stay aligned through checks and balances with the total scope of the project.
That's great. And Nikki, would you agree on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I had a general answer for that one instead of just breaking it down step by step. He's more in the process of all of that, but for major projects, I come in after the fact. But I think just communication in general is where there's often a breakdown. It's either from, whether it's from the client side, from our internal side, or from the like installation and where we're at on that side. If there's not the correct and over communication, then that's where the breakdown tends to happen.
I would piggyback with that. And my saying is internally, and everyone will know that I probably said too much, is everything's figure outable. But to Nikki's point, the majority of the time it's solved through communication and clear communication.
Communication is key if you're married or in the workplace.
Absolutely.
It's a good bottom line. Now, this one's for both of you as well, and I'd be curious to see if you have different stories, but what's a funny or standout client story that, you'd be willing to share with us here today?
Yikes.
I'll start with mine. I don't know if it's whether funny or strange. It's definitely standout. We were installing a project a couple years ago that was intended to be an outdoor LED. Jason, help correct me if I'm wrong on any of these technical terms, but it was supposed to be installed on an outdoor LED. COVID hit and project was put on hold. When it came back, they decided that they were going to use it to put on the ceiling above a bar on a rooftop hotel. So obviously this thing was not light. It was not meant to be hung and strapped on a ceiling. But somehow in the middle of a night, we had 6 of us, I think, and we just happened to be on hand to manage the project. But here I am standing at the bottom of these 6 men trying to hold up this cabinet and install it on a ceiling, and I'm underneath them like I can catch them if they're gonna fall. But that install and it was just insane, but it looks pretty awesome now, and the content that they do with it is pretty cool. But yeah, that one kind of stands out to me. It was just like I was gonna save these 6 men that were trying to hold up a 300-pound cabinet.
That's some interesting creativity there. What about yourself, Jason?
Yeah, so we were working on a project that's probably been 7 or 8 years ago now, and it was in a mall, so it was a kiosk inside of a food court. We had displays flanking the end caps of these, and it didn't necessarily happen bad to us, but they were installing these glass panels for the sidewalls of this kiosk. And as we're sitting there working, we see one just shatter right in front of us, and we're like, oh, this is not good. So they brought out a second one. It shatters because they drop it. The third one shatters, and I just look at the team. I'm like, we've got to leave because that contractor is about ready to just blow their top with their staff, and this is not going to be a conducive environment for anyone. So it's just some of the things that you see as you're doing projects, whether it's with your own team or whatever. You just got to take with a grain of salt. But yeah, there's always something interesting at every fork in the road for sure.
These technology projects certainly come with those complex situations and funny outcomes. Even just take our recording here today, my camera dying halfway through. We're going to switch things up a bit. This is a little fun thing I like to do. It's like a rapid fire Q&A. So I'm going to fire out a question and you both give an answer at the same time, or don't even think about it, just let it loose. Who stresses more during a client pitch?
Jason.
Great.
Love it. Favorite or least favorite digital signage buzzword?
Least favorite turnkey solution. Nothing in
Scalable.
digital signage, just turnkey.
Yeah.
Scalable is mine.
Cool. Dream install. Cruise ship, spaceship, or concert arena?
Cruise ship.
Spaceship.
If your relationship was a digital sign, what would be looping on it?
I'll let you go first.
Probably some sort of KPI chart or some sort of just graph of how things are doing, because I live and die by data.
That's a boring answer.
I know. It's true though.
My loop would be flights, kids' activities, coffee, family dinners. I'm in the car.
By the way, all of those can be transferred to data points, so I digress.
I was actually just about to ask. I hope you guys either have a smart fridge with a very detailed life dashboard or some kind of digital sign hanging in the family room with the weekly schedule. If
No,
not,
that's a good idea.
We're kind of boring in that regard, actually.
if there's anybody who can make it happen, it's certainly you two.
Yeah.
So let's move forward a little bit and talk about the industry ahead. You folks have obviously been in the digital signage space for a while now, and you're definitely at a great place to see the future of the evolution of signage. What's the biggest shift that you've seen in signage in the last 5 years?
I think at large integration, and whether that's integrating with IT and digital signage and working together, or integrating to other business segments inside of the organization to get real-time information to screens, or the integration of partnerships in general. As we're seeing all of these M&As happen, and they're doing it for strategic reasons, some of that being the integration capability. For me, I think over the last 5 years, so that's really been the biggest shift in the landscape.
Cool. Go ahead,
oh,
Nikki.
go ahead.
I was just going to ask you. I was going to ask you what your thoughts were as well.
To piggyback that, I think AI in general has been a huge revolution, and I think because it produces data-driven messaging, so you can do anything with the AI data that you get back. So it doesn't have to just be used for digital signage or security or whatever. But I think that's been the biggest evolution that I've seen over just the few years that I've been full-time in it.
That's a really great segue into the next question, which is, what role does storytelling and content play as a role in the modern digital signage?
For me personally, I think it is the number one, because every screen should tell a story, whether it is providing some sort of data metric to plant employees that don't have access to a computer at any waking moment and they need to get that data as fast as humanly possible to streamline the organization, or whether it be to create a real-time experience from a marketing perspective inside of a brand that all relates to the story. And then how do you tell that story with relevancy and with real time, and it becomes that data-driven playback. So for me, story, and again, and even rolling it back to just traditional content development, storytelling, again, it starts with the why. What do you want the impact of that screen to be? And then you have to just push it out from there. But storytelling's key. There's no way around it.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the experience that you want your audience to have, it's driven by emotion and how do you want to pull them in? And obviously storytelling is a huge part of that.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. Content's king, and knowing who your audience is especially important. I'm glad we all agree there. Now, what's most exciting for you both now with the future of AI or personalization or interactivity? What's getting you both most excited about the future of digital signage?
For me, I hate to use the term AI, but we've got to embrace it. It's there, it's everywhere. And whether it be how we're bringing data in or support tickets in and being able to get responses back faster to our audience, or whether it be through generating content via AI based upon data sets with templates built in and then changing it based upon real-time events at a local geography or the weather or whatever might be driving that change of engagement. And then again, interactivity, bridging our security side to digital signage and taking what the camera lens of that brand used to be using just to monitor if someone's taking something from that store, but now we can take that data and then analyze it and change the screens around it as well. So I think just again, going back to that, the favorite shift or the biggest shift over the last 5 years is integration. I think that's going to continue to be because it's going to continue to evolve and we just continue to embrace it and stay ahead of the curve.
What he said.
Awesome. What's a piece of advice that you have for the younger professionals that are now starting to enter in the Pro AV digital signage space?
I think getting involved in the industry organizations, the trade shows, and dive in, latch on with mentor groups, with someone that's been there for a while, but then just be involved. I think that's really has been the catalyst for us over the years, is just to become involved, be seen, and then help others. And I think the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, I think just building those relationships. This is very much a relational industry, not a transactional. It's a smaller industry, so everybody knows everybody. So you can't create it as transactional or you won't get anywhere. I would say the same thing. Go to the events, attend the trade shows, involve yourself in the boards like DSF and Wave It. Get yourself involved some way, shape, or form as a member so that you can learn all of the things and then build those relationships.
I think that's really great advice. I'd probably give those young professionals the same tips. I know that I heard something similar a few years ago too, and that's helped me. So glad to hear that from you both. We're getting to the end of our episode now, but before we go, I wanted to just ask, was there anything new at Coffman Media that you wanted to share with our audience today?
I've peppered it in a couple of times, but for us, it's always been an inch wide, mile deep in digital signage, and we never saw ourselves veering from that until it became out of client necessity. But we do have a security division now, which doesn't veer too far outside of digital signage, but we do install camera solutions, but there's an AI piece to that where we're able to help with organized crime, slip and fall, OSHA regulation detection, and it goes just beyond the security camera. And then we can take that data and integrate it to digital signage within brands, and also take that data and help with retail media networks. So we're really excited for where the future of that goes.
Awesome. So before we go, are there any final words of wisdom that you'd like to pass on to our audience today?
I'll go with communication is non-negotiable. I think we've hit on that a few times today during this podcast, but literally, whether it be our marriage or with our family, our kids, but communication is literally everything. So just make it a non-negotiable.
Mine's similar to that. No matter the challenge, personal, professional, marriage, whatever, everything's figure outable. So just sit down with a clear conscience, clear thought process, and come up with 3 ways to solve it. Because I've not found a solution in 17 years in the industry of whatever it's been that I've not been able to figure out. And then also 20 years in marriage. Everything's figure outable.
I love that word, figure outable. I'm definitely going to be stealing that from you. But I think you both have mentioned something important, and that's the figure outable thing is that there's always a solution. If you focus on the problem, you'll never figure out the solution. But if you focus on the solutions, you'll probably come up with more than one option. So I really love that. And just lastly, where can folks find you? Where can folks connect with you online?
For me, LinkedIn is always great. Pretty easy to find there. My personal page or the Coffman Media page or coffmanmedia.com.
And same thing, LinkedIn, or I'm on Instagram as well. Not super active, but I check it.
Awesome.
I'm at the Nikki Ault there, and then LinkedIn is just Nikki-Ault.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for being here today. There you have it, folks. Another insightful episode of Pixel Chatter. This time we've got Jason and Nikki Ault with us from Coffman Media, dropping wisdom about signage, marriage, and what it's like to marry the two together. So again, thank you both so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you so much for having us, Justin.
And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to another episode of Pixel Chatter. This chatterbox is out.